So we finished Frasier.
Yep. It's over.
Well, it was over in like 2004, but...
Well, but now it's over for us.
Was it 2004?
I don't know.
I don't know. Whenever it ended, it was over.
I mean, I've kind of grown up watching the show. I never watched any of it in order. Of course, I was just watching, reruns. So it was really different to actually watch the whole thing in order. And yeah, now it's over. I don't know. I still intend on watching it when it comes on TV. It's not like I'll never see it again, but...
Yeah, we just finished watching all the way through it. We had a really big break in the middle. We watched, I think, maybe 6 or 7 seasons, and then kind of took a break for, I don't know, like 6 months or something, and then came back and finished the series. There's 11 seasons in total. Personally, I mostly just like watch YouTube on my own, and then when we're together, we usually have 1 or 2 series that we're working on at any given time. So, this has been our together show.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a really slam-bang week. It started off with our good friends Aaron and Michaela coming to visit. They were only here for basically just an evening and a little bit of a morning, but it was great to see them anyways.
Yeah, it was. We had fun.
It's so exciting to meet up with people that you've known in the past. I mean, we still know them, but like our relationship was formed years ago. And so it's always interesting to see, it's been several years since we've lived in the same town as them, how people grow and how they mature, and I don't know where life takes them.
Yeah, it's just so nice to be with them. Our relationship is really exactly the same as it was whenever we all lived together. All 4 of us have kind of changed and grown, but we're all still the same when we're together, and that's really nice.
And just to be clear, she said live together as in Nacogdoches, not as in
yes,
we were all roomies. We didn't have some big crazy house.
Although that would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome when we would have done it.
I'm still not opposed to it now.
Yeah. It was a very similar feeling whenever I went back to Oklahoma City a while back and got to see lots of old friends. And I don't know, for me, it's actually really motivating to see like all the progress in life that's being made by my friends.
Yeah.
Another friend I don't get to see hardly ever is a friend named Nick. And I saw on LinkedIn that he is now starting his second internship at SpaceX.
No way.
He interned there last summer, and he's going to do it again this summer. He's currently getting his master's in aerospace engineering. He's literally a rocket scientist.
And he's also really cool and really nice.
Yeah, he's also the most stand-up guy in the world.
He's the whole package.
Yeah, it's not fair. If you're going to be that smart, you should also have to have some other kind of like fatal character flaw, like,
or at least be ugly. Like,
yeah, you should be ugly, or like you should be a compulsive liar or something. Some sort of terrible thing, but unfortunately, Nick is the whole package. But don't get any ideas, ladies. He is taken.
Darn.
Or Shelby. I don't generally talk about the work I do at Elliott very often. I work at Elliott Electric Supply. We are a very boring electrical distributor. Mostly we just sell materials to electricians.
They are the middleman.
Yeah. But we provide value, I think.
Well, most middlemen do.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I have a negative connotation with the term middleman.
Well, I mean, most middlemen provide some sort of value, but, is it enough? Is it worth it?
Okay.
Carry on.
This is Shelby's critique on the way the whole economy works.
Well,
Thanks, Shelby.
yeah. That's what I'm here for.
Anyways, I work in the marketing department at our corporate office here in Nacogdoches. And most of what I do is more boring spreadsheet stuff. I do manage the social media. That's one of the more fun parts of what I do. But our team in Austin was moving the big warehouse they have there from one location to another. And thankfully, they were interested in taking a bunch of video. So we kind of worked through all the photos and videos they would take. And yeah, so I made a little 1-minute video showing mostly time-lapse footage of all the material in the warehouse getting moved. I had to go through multiple iterations. Whenever they sent me the files, they had organized them in a folder structure. But unfortunately, when you have a bunch of folders and then you upload them to like Google Drive or Dropbox and then you download them as zip files, a lot of that folder structure gets lost. The total project files were like 60 gigabytes, and so you have to download it as multiple little folders. So a lot of the organization had kind of disappeared. Frankly, not really through their fault. Now we know we need to use actual file naming organization. So that caused some problems. I had made basically a whole video, and then I showed it to them, and they were like, oh, well, all this footage is out of order. So I had to go back to the drawing board. Now, granted, that video was, I think, 2.5 minutes long, and even I knew that was too long. I had about close to an hour's worth of footage, so it's always difficult to compress that down into something that makes sense, that's very short. I try to keep it to a minute usually because that's what fits on Instagram. And frankly, it's just easiest to make one video that I can post everywhere. And also, who has time to watch more than a minute-long video? Especially from just a middleman.
Uh-huh, yeah. I watch all the videos, to be clear.
All the videos, like, out there? Like, all the videos on YouTube?
All the Elliott Electric Supply videos.
Oh, okay. Thanks. All in all, I'm very proud of the video. Some of the video quality itself isn't great, but I'm just in charge of the editing, so I can't do much about it. This was our most popular post to date.
Ooh.
I think it reached around 6,000 or 7,000 people on Facebook, which is pretty good for us.
Yeah.
We don't do any paid boosting or advertising or things like that. It's just all organic. I totaled up the views across our Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. And I had to adjust the Facebook ones because their view counts are ridiculous. They count a 3-second watch as a view. And most people have autoplay turned on. So just literally if you're scrolling past it and you happen to stay, and it happens to just stay on the screen for more than 3 seconds, they count it as a view, which is just ridiculous. So I had to severely adjust the Facebook numbers based on the metrics, but across all the platforms, it got about 3,000 views in the first 24 hours.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm much more proud of the stuff we make here with Hey Deans, but for better or for worse, it doesn't get 3,000 views or 3,000 listens or whatever. And so it's nice to make something that many people watch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fairly obvious statement to be like, oh, I like to make things that people like. But I don't know. Our sales manager in Austin actually said that he heard some people talking about it the next day, like customers. Which I feel like that's even a bigger sign of success.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes. I mean, it's a fine video. It's a minute long, so if you want to watch it, that's fine. Or not, whatever.
Well, with Michaela and Aaron, we and Jordan took a fun trip to Walmart. I think we were all transported back to like high school and college, where you just go to Walmart with your friends and you goof around, and it's late at night, so you can kind of goof around and it's not too disruptive to too many people. And we just had a blast. I don't know. We were playing with the big bouncy balls, and we all had something that we needed to get there. So it was nice. But as we were kind of walking around, I kept finding more things that genuinely have been on our list of things we needed to get and just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, our list of things that are not very important to get.
Yeah, they're not urgent. They're pretty small in general. But the most exciting thing for me was to buy some throw pillows. We have always had a bare couch, just a couch, occasionally with a dog on it, occasionally with a blanket on it, but we haven't had any throw pillows.
Yeah, how have we been living this whole time?
I know. Well, obviously that is an extremely like low priority thing to get, but I feel like just having pillows on your couch makes it actually look like a living room and not just like we have just moved into our apartment that we've been at for 2 years.
It looked fine.
It did look fine, but I feel like it's a really small thing you can do to make a really big difference in a living space. A lot of the problem has been that Nate and I cannot agree on what kind of throw pillows to get, what style or color or texture. But with the help of Michaela and Aaron and Jordan, we picked out 3 pillows that we both liked, that complemented each other and our living room.
Not to downplay the curation help of our friends, but I do think they had a better selection of pillows that don't look stupid.
Sure.
I feel like in the past we failed because the selection there at Walmart is just like weird.
It is.
We could have ordered stuff online, but once again, these are low priority things. I just assume rather not spend the money. I don't mind spending the money that much. I mean, it's, $25 or whatever, but yeah.
I'm super excited about those. We'll put a picture in the show notes.
Yeah, you were really excited about that. I feel like that was a bigger win for you than I would anticipate.
It was. Well, that's a thing that I've wanted for, I guess, 5 years. And now we have them.
Yay.
And they are very good napping throw pillows, too, which is very important to me.
I can't remember if I mentioned this last time or not, but I did get my photos in for the gallery show. Our photography club has the gallery that's being hosted in June. I ordered some prints online as well as some matting. The club will frame everything for us, but we have to give them the photo and have it already be mounted on a mat board. Our club hosted just like a little workshop. A lot of the people have been in the competition before and probably already know how it all works. I personally don't. So we went there with the photos and the mat boards to learn from the masters. Interestingly, there seem to be a lot of different ways to do it. None of them seem to be wrong necessarily. The leader, has a particular way he does it, but he said, I watched 10 different YouTube videos and saw 10 different methods to do it. So I don't know, maybe there is some kind of standard that we don't know about, but it seemed like everyone had their own special way of doing it. But we were doing seemed to work, so we're one step closer to seeing all the photos in the gallery. I got to see a few of them that afternoon.
Some of them are very good. Arguably, they are all good, or they would not be accepted into the contest, but they were really good.
Instead of having a special speaker at our next meeting, our leader said we're actually just going to review all of the photos submitted. Only about half of them were picked to be printed, but we'll just spend the whole meeting looking at all the photos submitted. So I'm looking forward to that.
I am too. I wonder if we will do People's Choice at that meeting or wait until the gallery opening.
That's actually a good question.
Or like vote on them, obviously not.
I don't remember how the
Announce
People's
it.
Choice Award is working. I bet it's going to be that night.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think...
Actually, that would make sense because not that many people attend the meetings regularly.
Yeah.
But everyone will be there for the gallery. Yeah.
During the week, we got our first box from Dinnerly. They are one of the many meal kit delivery services that are booming in popularity right now. I've heard a lot of these advertised on podcasts that I listen to. I'm not sure exactly why, but there's just kind of certain kinds of companies that end up advertising on a lot of podcasts, like mattress companies or meal kit delivery services or online contact or glasses companies. I don't know. There's just very specific niches that seem to get a lot of value out of those advertisements. I've never heard Dinnerly sponsor any of the shows I listen to, but I've heard a lot of the sponsors talk about, a different meal kit delivery service like Blue Apron or HelloFresh or something like that. And all of them have really enjoyed it. My family does a HelloFresh box off and on. And I was never really sure how that would fit in to our life. I like the idea of a ready-made meal with all the ingredients, measured and prepped, and all we have to do is, cut a few things and cook a few things and we get a great meal. That's very appealing. But one of the biggest barriers is definitely cost. HelloFresh is, I think, $10 or $11 a meal, which is kind of weird because it's always advertised as like the cheaper option. They always bring up a lot that it's cheaper than going out, which that's highly variable. Like, I guess if you took your whole family to like Chili's or something, maybe, $10 or $11 a meal at home would make sense. But it's not really that much cheaper. And a lot of places that I eat, like there's a great, Chinese place in town called Peking. You can get a whole meal there, like with an appetizer for like $8 a person. So the whole $10 meal thing does not save any money, and you have to cook. I kind of enjoy cooking, but regardless of whether or not I enjoy it, it still takes a lot of time. And definitely one of the biggest advantages of eating out is not having to clean up or not having to spend the time cooking. So anything I'm going to buy at home to cook, whether it's from the grocery store or anywhere else, would need to be pretty cheap overall, at least to be worth it for me.
Yeah.
Dinnerly is not really fundamentally different than most of the other ones, but the price is much better. Each box is $30, and you get about 2 servings out of the 3 meals they send you. You probably could get really 3 servings if you're not a food monster like I am, but they clearly have some differences in how they do their business model. A lot of the other ones have very nice printed recipes.
Nice packaging.
A lot of them have a lot more options for food each week, or they have like more recipes overall, or they might have things for like if you're a pescatarian specifically, or if you're a vegan, or if you're a vegetarian, or if you're gluten-free, or if you're halal, or whatever else. They have more plans for people like that. Dinnerly is a much more kind of like a meat and potatoes kind of service. They have, I think, maybe 10 meals a week you can choose from. They have enough to where if you're vegetarian, you could probably still have the service. If you're vegan, probably not. There probably wouldn't be enough meals each week to make it worth it. But the meals are much simpler. I think they said that each one has 6 ingredients or less, which is one of the ways they're saving money. They don't print any of the recipes for you. They're just in the app, and obviously you can print them at home if you want. I don't really plan to. I use my phone to look at recipes half the time anyways. But the food was all still really high quality. I was fairly impressed overall.
Yeah.
It comes out to probably a little bit over $6 a meal. Like I said, it's $30 a box for 3 meal sets. And then I think there's normally about $8 or $9 worth of shipping.
But you really could easily get 3 servings out of them.
Right. And that would obviously bring it down. But, $6.50 for a meal isn't too bad. Especially if that's not like your only, source of food. This was actually a terrible week to do it.
Uh-huh. It ended up being a good week to do it, but...
Well, not really. Both of my sets of grandparents in town. And the box arrived here on Tuesday, the day that they arrived.
And the day that Michaela and Aaron arrived.
Right. We already had a bunch of family meals planned and activities to do and not very much time to cook. It was a bad week to start it off in terms of our scheduling. But the food we had was great. We managed to squeeze one meal in Wednesday, and then we actually just kind of took them over to my parents' house when everyone was there having kind of a normal snacky lunch and just kind of made them and shared them with everyone.
Yeah, we made the 2 other meals. And so there were just those 2 meals on the stove with, stuff for sandwiches and other stuff around, some leftovers. And so that was a nice thing. So everybody could kind of graze the 2 dishes.
We made the coconut beef curry with peas and jasmine rice by ourselves. That was very good.
It was really good.
I really could tell a difference in the beef that they sent versus what we normally buy. I'm sure there's nicer beef that we don't normally buy, but it cooked and tasted different.
Yeah, I mean, we usually buy Kroger brand beef that comes in a tube, so...
Yeah. Nothing against meat in a tube.
No, but, you can buy better meat.
Yeah. I think all their beef is supposed to be grass-fed. So the meals we took over to my parents' house were like a cilantro lime rice grilled chicken dish, and my favorite dish of the week was this pan-fried gnocchi dish. And it had corn and tomatoes and ricotta cheese on the side.
It was so good.
So gnocchi is kind of a potato dumpling thing, and I think this recipe basically just had you fry it in a skillet.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so good. It tastes like... It almost tastes like bread in a way. I don't know. It doesn't taste like potatoes.
Yeah, it was kind of like bready, noodle-like. It was just really delicious, and the searing on them was really good. It was such a flavorful dish, which surprised me to a certain extent because there weren't really any spices in it. It's not like we dumped cayenne or I literally can't think of any other spices. All the flavors in the dish were just of the veggies that were in it. All the flavors were the flavor of the corn and the flavor of the tomatoes. And it was really good. And that was actually the vegetarian dish. And that was easily my favorite.
Yeah. I think the only time I've had gnocchi proper is probably at Olive Garden.
Proper.
Yeah. The wonderful cuisine of Olive Garden.
The authentic Italian.
Tuscany cuisine, yeah. They have a really great appetizer deal. I think it's $6 a person, and you can get unlimited soup and breadsticks.
And salad.
I don't bother with that. And my favorite soup there is a chicken and gnocchi soup. So it's kind of like a chicken cream soup with these big dumplings in it. And I've always really loved that, so it makes sense that I would love this too.
Yeah, this was really good. I had a tiny little bit of it on my plate, because I was going to go meet Mom for lunch shortly. And just every time I walked in the kitchen, I would grab another little fork of gnocchi and veggies and eat that and then leave. And I'd walk back through, grab another fork of gnocchi and veggies, and I just couldn't stay away from it. It was so yummy.
Yeah, Shelby was already planning to go to lunch with her mom, so she was just supposed to be, sampling what we had.
I did.
She sampled like a quarter of it.
That is such a lie.
A bald-faced lie.
I would bet that I had half a cup total.
All in all, I thought it was pretty good.
It was really good. I was happy with it. All three of the meals turned out really well. They were all delicious. The curry and the gnocchi were definitely not things that we would traditionally make ourselves.
We like stuff like that. We just don't have a lot of good recipes for it.
Yeah. And it's a thing that it involves a little bit of a lot of ingredients. I mean, it's only 6, so it's not really, but
they trimmed it down. I mean, a normal curry dish is going to have more than 6 ingredients.
Yeah. But most of the things that we make have very few ingredients involved in it. And it's often with stuff that we already keep around the house. We don't typically keep gnocchi around the house or fresh corn.
No.
But it was really good. So it was nice to just already have exactly the stuff that we need. We weren't going to have 5 tomatoes rot in the fridge. So it was nice. Lowered our food waste a lot. And it was cheap and relatively healthy.
Yeah. I would say my biggest problem with eating is portion control. So if nothing else, it makes a limited but still reasonable portion. I actually went ahead and canceled our box for this week because we still have grandparents in town until almost the end of the week. So I didn't want to make the same mistake again. But we're looking forward to the next week trying it.
Yep.
So I guess this podcast is now sponsored by Dinnerly.
I know. I was about to say this isn't actually sponsored by Dinnerly at all. But hey, Dinnerly, if you want to sponsor us.
I mean, they have like a thing in their website if you actually want to apply.
I mean, yes. Can we just like send them this episode and say, hey, we made this. Can I have...
Retroactively, let's get into your program. Yeah.
Can I have $20, please?
I'd like to try a few more boxes before I start shilling for it. But our first box was good. Maybe like their first box is always really good and then they just send you like total crap after that. Maybe the whole thing's a scam.
I doubt that.
Like the first week they send you the grass-fed beef, and then the second week they send you the tube beef.
The Kroger brand tubed beef.
Yeah. It's been really great having the grandparents around. All of my life we've lived very far from grandparents. My mom's family lives in central to southern New Mexico. And my dad's family lives mostly in Pensacola, Florida, which, to be fair, is like the closest part of Pensacola. It's in the Panhandle. It's like 20 miles from the Alabama border. So it's as close as you could hope for in Florida, but...
It's still in the central time zone. Yeah,
it's actually still... It's weird that they keep the very tip of the Florida Panhandle in central time. So it's about a 14-hour drive to get to New Mexico and about a 11 or 12-hour drive to get to Florida, which we always make a few times a year, but it's still very difficult to get to see them. One of my best friends, Philip, had grandparents that lived literally next door to him whenever we were growing up. And I just couldn't imagine what that would be like. I mean, it'd be great. For him, there were some downsides because they were a little bit, I don't know, grumpy.
Well, and grandparents are less special, I feel like, if you get to be with them all the time.
Yeah.
At least that's what my mom would tell me whenever I would try to convince my grandparents to move here. Now, they did end up moving here, but...
Yeah, yeah. And that's true. Like, there's always... Like, there are people that I kind of relate it to, like, whenever I moved. You know, I lived in Nacogdoches when I was a kid. And then I moved to Oklahoma City for about 5 years. And then I moved back to Nacogdoches. And there were definitely people that I missed and that I would have liked to have seen whenever I moved away. And now that I'm back, I could see those people, and I don't. Like, I don't see them. I didn't. Some of them I rekindled connections with. Like, there were definitely some friends at my church that I was kind of friends with, or even really good friends with, that whenever I came back, we kind of picked it back up, and we're still friends. Like, my friend Josh was my best friend here in Nacogdoches growing up. And, you know, we went to chemistry together whenever I came back. And I don't think we ever had any SFA classes together, but...
No.
He ended up going... Well, no, I guess he still was here for college. But, yeah, I mean... But, you know, Josh and I hung out a little bit. But then once we got into college, we didn't really have much overlap in the things we did, or like our weekly schedule. And so I didn't get to see him. It totally sucked moving away from him like 5 years ago, but, you know, now that I'm back and I had the chance to hang out with him, we didn't really see each other that much. And I think that can happen with grandparents, where if you live close to them, I think things would change. Now, granted, I'd still rather live closer to them because I think I would still see them often. But there is a different kind of feeling about only seeing grandparents, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 times a year.
Well, and they could live closer without living in Nacogdoches.
Yeah, if they lived like 3 hours away, that would be a lot better.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
Because we could just make a weekend visit or something. As it is, we try to, you know, FaceTime them as often as we can, but personally, I'm very bad at that.
Me too.
We try to FaceTime Aaron and Michaela a lot too, and I'm bad at that too.
I think we've like done it once or twice, maybe.
Yeah. Ideally, I would talk to like all my best friends, you know, scattered around like once every month or two. Which I've like worked it out in my head. If I just called like one friend a weekend and we just did the rotation of, you know, the 6 or 8 or 10 different phone calls, I could totally do it. Do I do it? No. I try. I keep trying. It never seems to happen. Having grandparents in town is very special and always a big deal. Usually for this week, I just kind of like live in my parents' house again. I mean, I still sleep and do my clothes here, but we eat most of our meals there and spend all of our free time there.
Well, and it's not like clothes have been getting done here either. So.
Yeah, by do our clothes here, I just mean not do any laundry at all.
Yep.
That's kind of our style now. I have made a very conscious effort more recently to make sure I am contributing. Like I said before, I am a food monster, so we tried very hard to contribute in various ways while we're over there. Like Friday night, I made a big roast for the whole family, and I always try to ask my mom, you know, what I can bring for a meal. Now, granted, she often says nothing, but I try. I look forward to playing cards today with grandparents.
Ooh, are we playing cards?
I assume.
Yay. I haven't really gotten to hang out with anybody since they've been here.
Yeah. Both sets of grandparents are game players. They each like different games. Like, my dad's parents like a card game called Golf, and they like Hand and Foot, and they like Racco and some things like that. Whereas my mom's parents, they're more into like Farkle or Skip-Bo. They like golf too, but golf is kind of the one crossover card game they all like.
Yeah, Granny and Pawpaw are much more into games you play with a traditional deck of cards. They like Rummy or Rummy style games. They like
Phase 10.
They like Canasta type games, like Hand and Foot. And Grandma and Dan are much more into a game where you buy a pack, you buy a special set of cards and play with those.
Of course, their visits are always too short, but I'm glad to have them here for as long as they can stay. Which I'm very jealous of my dad's parents because they're leaving here to go straight on an Alaska cruise.
Oh, so jealous.
Yeah.
I want to go on a fancy vacation so bad. I actually, on my Facebook memories, a picture popped up from our train ride to Chicago from 4 years ago.
That was a good trip.
Oh, that was such a good trip.
Shelby's mom and us loved to vacation together. And we had all wanted to go on a big, long train ride. In the United States here, all the trains are kind of government sponsored, more or less. Not all the trains, but all the ones I deal with. So we got on an Amtrak train in, I think, Mineola, and went all the way to Chicago, which is about a 24-hour train trip. Thankfully, her mom was willing to splurge for the sleeper cars, which turned out to be a great idea because the train was terribly delayed, which is fairly common here in the United States.
I believe it was 13 hours late.
Yeah, it was supposed to take 24 hours and it took 36 hours. So we were supposed to have an evening there in Chicago. We were supposed to get there 4 p.m., get checked into the hotel and have a nice dinner and all this other kind of stuff. And we ended up crawling off the train at 4 a.m. and sleeping in until 11:30 or 12, just trying to get some sleep back.
When we went to sleep, we were still in East Texas, and we went to sleep, in the woods. And we woke up, and there were still lots of green pine and oak trees out the window, and Mom was like, "Wow, this part of Illinois looks a lot like East Texas." And then we find out we have not left East Texas.
It wouldn't have been Illinois.
No, would have been Missouri, I guess. Did we go up through Missouri?
It would have been Arkansas or Missouri. St. Louis was the half point. There was a lot of bad weather at that time, and as well as mechanical issues. I think they changed out our engine 3 different times.
Yeah, it kept getting flooded.
But that's a long story. But that was a great vacation. That we ended up canceling our train home and just flying home because none of us had all the vacation time to burn. And we wanted to have more time in Chicago. But yeah, that was definitely one of my top vacations.
Yeah.
So, thanks again, Shelby's mom. That
Thanks,
was a great
Mom.
vacation.
It was great.
To close out the week, we all got to attend my little sister's ballet recital. That was kind of the draw for all the grandparents this week.
Mm-hmm.
She does dance throughout the year, like we've mentioned before. But she has one big ballet recital every May. And at least one set of grandparents is always here for that. I thought this year's show was maybe the best one so far. Not that the other ones were bad. I always enjoy it. But, I don't know, this year seemed particularly good. It was the story Giselle, which is kind of a terrible story. It's awful.
As are most ballets and operas.
Yeah, but some of them end happier than others. This one ended in, total depravity.
Mm-hmm.
It was very reminiscent of, the old, Grimm fairy tales. Grimm with, 2 M's.
Mm-hmm.
Where, all the old school fairy tales, none of them ended happy. They were all, cautionary tales or, spooky stories you told your kids so that they would behave. A witch is going to come eat your head off if you don't behave and listen to your parents. That kind of thing. It probably is an old fairy tale. I don't know the story very well. Anyway, so that was good. She did a great job. She had a little solo in one of the dances, which was nice. But it was quite a week.
It was. It was very full with all good things.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. See you next time.